Welcome to our first lesson in Media and Information Literacy. Introduction to MIL. According to the Merriam-Webster Dictionary, communication is defined as the act or process of using words, sounds, signs, or behaviors to express your ideas, thoughts, feelings, to someone else. Another known definition from the Cambridge Dictionary says that communication is the exchange of information and the expression of feeling that can result in understanding. There are two primary types of communication: nonverbal and verbal. Under nonverbal are the following: signs, symbols, colors, gestures, body languages, facial expressions. While verbal communication: oral, written. The different communication models. The Laswell's transmission model from political scientist Harold Laswell from 1948 suggests that the process is complex and basic at the same time, with a communicator on one end to the receiver on the other end of the line. However, the effect or impact of the message might affect the relay of communication, then suggesting a reply or understanding of the first message brought out. Shannon Weaver's model from the same year added an important factor in the process of communication: the channel or medium of communication being used. It is said that the channel is as important as the message and will directly affect the message being transmitted. Channels or medium may be inane and used in the transmission: a microphone, a megaphone, or a speaker.
The Berlo SMCR model of communication
defined every factor involved in the process. The skills, attitude, and content knowledge of the receiver and sender will affect the transmission and is important in the process. It is important that both ends have the same level of understanding. Language is an important factor in this model, same with attitude. Social system and culture can be both helpers and barriers to communication, as every group of individuals have different sets of levels of intimacy in today's communication. Is a set of concepts involving the usual and most widely used form of communication, both in verbal and nonverbal types. This may involve a concept called mediated communication, or the interference, involvement of technology, in the transmission of message or delivery of information. The relationship of media and information. The relationship of media and information is more interrelated now more than any other time before. Considering that new technology allows us to communicate in various forms of media nowadays, still it can be affected if the medium is used in a negative light. Media, or the tool of communication, is as important as the message transmitted. Take for example how Facebook changed our main mode of mass communication. Social media has become the new normal in terms of mass media and broadcast media, as users are allowed to stream personal live videos like how they do it in TV. However, media used in communication affect the quantity and quality of information delivered. The speed of communication is wondrous to behold. It is also true that speed can multiply the distribution of information that we know to be untrue. Take this quotation from American journalist Edward Murrow as an example of how media affects the transmission of false information, or is now called fake news. Media, information and technology literacy concepts. According to UNESCO, MIL is defined as a set of competencies including the concepts of media literacy, digital literacy, ICT literacy, information literacy, basic literacy, cultural diversity, news literacy, library literacy, and other types of literacy, and the sub-branches of these concepts as well. Media literacy is a skill set that solely advocates for freedom of expression and right to information. Information literacy is defined as the ability to recognize when information is needed and to locate, evaluate, effectively use and communication information in its various formats. While technology/digital literacy, the ability to use digital technology, communication tools or networks to locate, evaluate, use and produce information. This diagram shows the convergence of the three concepts, which are technological, information, and media literacy as a type of literacy. Looking at it makes it obvious that MIL is comprised of 3 different literacy types, and to be able to call oneself media and information literate, an individual must understand the difference, similarities and importance of the 3 concepts related to media and information literacy. Media and information literacy and society. As defined, MIL has a goal of empowering citizens to be engaged in civic-minded activities and socio-cultural issues involving them and their reality. One must also understand that information alone is not enough, and the ability to access, retrieve and more so evaluate them is more important. For example, when you see news about COVID-19, you don't just read, but you also have to critically think about ways on how you can help the community with the information you got from reading legitimate news. MIL makes you think, what can I do with these information for the benefit of others? Now let's do poster analysis. The poster encourages you to be critical internet users, however, the message negates the context. Yes, it is valid to not believe everything on the internet just because there is a photo next to it, like the poster you just read. But how can Abraham Lincoln say this about the internet when late President Lincoln existed in the pre-internet era? Characteristics of a media literate individual. According to media scholar Art Silverblatt, 1995, being media literate must lead to important outcomes. A media literate person is well informed about issues in media coverage, aware of daily contact with media and their influence to the lifestyles, attitudes and values of its consumers, able to effectively interpret media messages to derive insight into their meaning, develops sensitivity to media content trends as a means of learning about culture, remains firm of ownership, financial and regulatory issues that may have an impact on media industry, considers the role of media in decision-making. And that's the end of our first lesson in media and information literacy. See you again next week for lesson number 2.